Welcome to Let's Face the Facts, the rewatch podcast for the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Join us each week as we synopsize, analyze, criticize, and ultimately idolize the show. And now, here's your host of Let's Face the Facts, the wonderful David Almeida!
Thank you, Matthew Arter. Welcome back. It's another week, another show. Thank you for downloading and pressing play. Extra, extra. Yes, we're between seasons, so you know we like to take a little bit of a break, and I'd like to give you some extra shows, some different shows before we jump back into the battlefield that will be Season 9, and we're going to continue with what I already started before, which is to slowly release episodes of TV Talkaholics. TV Talkaholics, of course, is the monthly podcast that Matthew and I do, and the Patreon supporters get exclusive first access to this show before it hits the general public at some unspecified time down the road. And if you want access to all of these right now, you can, of course, go to the Patreon and become a monthly supporter at the $3 a month level. Otherwise, please, I hope you enjoy this, which is a show on Disney Plus called The Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World from November of 1977. Now, this was recorded and released in August of 2020. Remember August of 2020? Yeah, neither do I. But in typical TV Talkaholic style, in typical me fashion, we watched a 1-hour special and made a 2-hour and 12-minute podcast out of discussing a 1-hour show. So I'm not going to subject you to that torture. I'm splitting it into 2 shows. So this is part 1. And next week you can hear the exciting conclusion. So what do you say we get to it, huh? Let's face the facts with TV Talkaholics, Episode 9, The Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World from 1977, featuring Lisa Whelchel and Julie Piekarski.
No. More about gel coat.
When the fourth...
Don't you call in the... More importantly...
The Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World. Tonight on the wonderful world of Disney.
Welcome, welcome, one and all. Get so ready to have a ball. We're gonna dance, we're gonna sing. We're getting ready to do our thing. 'Cause it's showtime. Get up and go time, showtime. No kidding, no time, showtime. With the Mouseketeers.
Well, hey there, guys. It's another TV Talkaholics, another beginning of the month treat made especially for our Tutti Frutti Patreon supporters. This is David Almeida, of course, getting ready to discuss The Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World with my amazing co-host. Do you want to say hi?
Okay, David, I am going to be altering my voice to remain anonymous during this episode. So as you can probably tell, I've already altered it through my computer, and I don't think anybody's going to know it's me.
How did you alter your voice on your computer?
The MacBook Air from 2003 is amazing.
Okay. Do you want to maybe turn a couple more knobs
I think I'm good. I think I can barely recognize my own voice right now.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
We should say that the views of the hosts of TV Talkaholics do not represent the Walt Disney Company in any way or its affiliates.
Okay.
Because I am a lover of this company, David,
Mm-hmm.
as you know, and I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging a company that I love.
Okay. So, my normal co-host Matthew Arter is not with us this week, and in his place is Mr. X.
I love that. You can call me whatever you want, just so long as you call me. But
so my guest co-host may or may not be an employee of a major theme park attraction.
Let's just say I know a thing or two about the company that this movie was made for.
Yes. Well, we both do a little bit. So let me get some sort of like business stuff out of the way.
Okay.
Mr. X and I are going to be discussing the Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World, which is a special that broadcast on the Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday, November 20th, 1977. And it has recently come back into the modern pantheon, the modern entertainment zeitgeist, as it were, because they just re-released it on Disney Plus, the streaming service from the Walt Disney Company. And if that isn't enough of a treat to watch the new Mickey Mouse Club cast, including our close personal friend, Lisa Whelchel, and our close personal acquaintance, Julie Piekarski, before they were Facts of Life stars. This, for some weird reason, contains the original commercials.
Yeah. Very weird.
It's very weird, and they're kind of a little dull. Sadly, there wasn't anyone that like jumped out at me as like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" But they're fun. They're a fun time capsule.
Yes, they help. They help with the nostalgia of the piece.
Yeah, for the boring Sunday night crowd that thought 60 Minutes was a little too much excitement, and switched over and didn't want to watch the Hardy Boys' Nancy Drew Mysteries, which is what was on the ABC network at that time. So we have this. By the way, I did a little bit of research. You know what else was on this night on network television? Little deep dive here. Like I said, 60 Minutes was on CBS. ABC was the Hardy Boys' Nancy Drew Mysteries. But then, after this special was over, at 8 o'clock on CBS, Celebrity Challenge of the Sexes with Elka Summer, Bruce Jenner, Farrah Fawcett, David Cassidy, Dick Van Patten, Susan St. James, Christy McNichol, and Robert Conrad, hosted by the wonderful Flip Wilson.
Oh my God!
Doesn't that sound amazing?
Oh my God!
And I looked on YouTube. I can find there's an odd clip, but I would love to see the whole thing. But oh my God! And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be crass, but Celebrity Challenge of the Sexes, Caitlyn Jenner was one of the competitors back when she was known as Bruce Jenner, and just saying interesting things with hindsight, huh?
Oh, is there?
Challenge of the Sexes. It's the idea of it's men versus women.
Sure.
And the idea is Caitlyn is identifies as a woman, even though in her. Okay, we'll talk about that later. All right.
You don't hear from Bruce Jenner very much anymore.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know what happened to him.
So in general, before we start talking about some of the other nitty gritty, nitpicky stuff, the thing that not only the Lisa Whelchel thing and the connection of the Facts of Life, the thing that also gives us this deep connection to it is the fact that it takes place in Walt Disney World, right here in Orlando, our hometown, at our place of employment. And it is so weird to see it in its infancy like this.
And I am a history lover and a Disney lover. And when I can combine those two things, the nerdgasm that happens, because I was a tour guide at Walt Disney World for 12 years.
Wow.
So I know that park and the details of that park like the back of my hand, like nomenclature, all these things that when you're a tour guide at Walt Disney World, you had to be in guest relations at the time. And to be in guest relations, you have to know everything, including every single ticket Walt Disney World has ever sold since 1971. Dude, we had a book of old ticket stock that if somebody would bring in a ticket, we'd have to look it up and see what the equivalent was because the tickets never expire.
Oh, it's right.
So people would bring like a 1981 all-American military 3-day special ticket. And you're like, that was a promotion during the summer of 1981.
And it's
And
1997 now.
Yeah, and now I've got to figure out what the equivalent is and change revenue. So I loved this for the history of the park and the attractions and the costumes, and I have questions. So
okay,
We
and
should-
let's continue to personalize this, Mr.
Okay.
X. And in what year did you first come to Walt Disney World?
oh,
Are you okay?
to Walt Disney World. I
Yeah.
thought, well, we are getting very personal. 1996.
Oh wow, that's late.
I had never been in the Magic Kingdom before I worked there.
Oh my gosh!
My first step inside the Magic Kingdom. And I'm one of the few people I think on the planet that can say I have never paid to get into a Disney theme park.
Wow, I cannot say that. Sadly, there were.
Didn't step a foot in Florida before I worked here.
That is insane.
Mhm.
My first time here was in February of 1978. So right after this, just a few months after this broadcast. Who knows? Maybe this was the broadcast where my parents went, fuck, if the Wonderful World of Disney kids are going, we're going.
If that's the case, we have things to talk about because of how certain things are represented in this special. Again, okay, go ahead.
We have shit to talk about. So, yeah, and I was 9 at the time. So in 1978, it's like
Where did you stay?
what we stayed at the Contemporary, right there.
How did you do it back then? Was it like, how long did you stay? Was it 2 days in the park, 1 day in the park? How did you know how people now, they've got to really plan every minute of their stay.
Oh, God,
but back
no.
then it was like there was the one park.
There was the one
and-
park, and we did do Hoop-Dee-Doo, which is over at Fort Wilderness,
Right.
and we did
Which
that.
is still
And
running.
and those were the days when you would rent a car and you would drive into downtown Orlando to spend an evening hanging around Church Street Station, going to Rosie O'Grady's.
Really in the 70s.
In the
Okay.
70s. Oh yeah, totally. We did that, absolutely. And so this is for those who don't realize what we're talking about. Everyone thinks of Walt Disney World as this big, major, massive resort. It only opened in 1971, and as of this special, and as of my first visit, all that was here was Magic Kingdom, Contemporary, Polynesian Resort. We did do the Luau. Fort Wilderness and River Country had just opened, and we didn't even go there.
What was called the Golf Resort at the time.
Yeah, we didn't go there. But I feel like we spent a week here, and we went to the park, and the park was very chill. They still had the A, B, C, D, E tickets, so you still had to pay you paid a little tiny bit of money to get in, but then you had to buy the books of the tickets, and the idea of the E ticket ride was your Space Mountains, your what else would be an e-ticket ride at the Magic Kingdom that would have been around in 77?
Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion
was one.
Yeah.
Space Mountain was one. The
Yeah,
Sky Ride. Not the Sky Ride, but the Astro Orbiter.
The Astro Orbiter, sure, up in Tomorrowland, sure.
That was an e-ticket.
Yeah. But the thing is, so yeah, it was much
Jungle
more.
Cruise. Jungle Cruise was an e-ticket.
Was it? Okay, that makes sense too. Yeah.
I know Pirates was a D ticket because we had to know all of that too. Because people love to do this to us, David. They'd bring up an A through E ticket book and they would throw it at us and be like, bet you don't see those every day. We see them every day.
Yes.
And what always blew people away was if they brought me a full A through E ticket book with the admission ticket attached, that was the rarity, the admission ticket being attached. We would take it and give them a 1-day, 1-park ticket.
Wow.
So talk about an investment, because those things were like $7.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
They were. Yeah.
And then at that time, getting a $75 1-day ticket. But the worst part is, if one thing was ripped out of it, it became face value.
Oh.
So I could give them 10 cents for every A ticket that was in there, 20 cents for every B ticket, And we would tell them this is worth more to you as in memories than it is to us. So
In cash. Yeah, we don't need them. We've got plenty. We saved them. Wow.
So there are going to be a lot of those little outbursts,
Okay.
like tour guide outbursts, and like what we had to know and do, and why things are wrong in this.
Well, if this podcast turns into being hours long, you know what? This is for the Tutti Fruities, and you guys pay extra money for this. And
If you do not love Walt Disney World, you're going to hate this.
yes. But the thing is, I work, for the most part, my full-time work has been at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Mr. X here works at the actual Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
So you have much more valuable input to give there than I do.
And that's where I was based in guest relations.
Mhm.
And I was a Magic Kingdom tour guide. We give a tour called Keys to the Kingdom, which takes you into the Utilidor and like talks about the theming of like the tiniest little things. So, and people love it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Yes. So let's talk about who wrote and directed this baby.
This masterpiece.
Whom do we have to consider responsible? Well, it was directed by John Tracy. John Tracy had previously directed 130 episodes of The Electric Company, which was my jam.
I didn't think there was a director. Glad you mentioned that.
Yeah. He did do 4 episodes of the new Mickey Mouse Club, and I think they thought, okay, 4 episodes, he gets it. He gets us and how this works. So, okay.
Not a perfectionist. Let's just say that. Bless his heart.
But after this special, he would go on to do little one-offs here and there, but a ton of shows. Fish, Angie, Bosom Buddies, Laverne and Shirley, Joni Loves Chachi, Newhart, Full House, Step by Step, Boy Meets World, Family Matters, and 134 episodes of Growing Pains between 85 and 91.
Oh, so many pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, there were only 167 episodes of Growing Pains. So he did all but 30. That's a big deal for one director to do that much of a series.
Especially that series.
His most recent credit was in 2006. I imagine he's retired because in 1977, I was 9 when this broadcast. So assuming he was an adult, I'm 51 now, so that means he's in his early 100s.
Yeah.
So he's very likely retired. But now let's talk about the writers. This was written by, they are credited as Ted Anasty, David Talisman, and Tom Adair. Ted Anasty and David Talisman, they wrote some stuff together, including some new Mickey Mouse Clubs. Anasty also did some DuckTales, the TV series, Little Mermaid, Timon and Pumbaa. He's been story editor on those other kids series. So he's kind of on the inside of the Disney TV thing and remained there as the Disney Channel started making series in the 80s. David Talisman doesn't really have many other credits after this, so he must have gotten out of the biz or something. And
with his tail between his legs.
And then the Tom Adair, he has many writing credits, but it looks like he's a songwriter primarily. So I think he is the one responsible for the original music in this episode. And if you, when we heard that music, I know just like me, you said, wow, that is original.
Yeah, he wrote that.
And then lastly, before we get going here, FYI, the OG Mickey Mouse Club, the original black and white Annette Funicello, that ran from 1955 to 1959 and ran 184 episodes daily from 5 to 6 p.m. And here's the funny thing. It got canceled because Disney couldn't reach an agreement with ABC.
Right.
And they filed a lawsuit, and it was all this rigmarole. Cut to 1990 whatever, when it's like, we own you now. And
it
then
was 97.
97?
Mm-hmm.
It was, I was thinking it was earlier than that. Wow. And then the new Mickey Mouse Club, that ran for only 14 sad episodes from 1977 to 78, but it didn't die before it gave us this magnificent special. And then the reboot again from 1989 to 94 was the all-new Mickey Mouse Club, which ran for 106 episodes and gave birth to the careers of who, Mr. X?
Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, the other one from NSYNC.
J.C. Chazé.
I believe that's the name he gives Maitre D's. I'm the other one from NSYNC.
Yeah. Kerry Russell, Ryan Gosling, tons of young talent was started at the all-new Mickey Mouse Club. And did they film that here?
They absolutely did. Thank you for asking, David. At the Disney Hollywood Studios, also known as the Kiss of Death for anything that filmed there.
We only came down here from Massachusetts a handful of times in my life, but we came down, I guess it was in 82. It had to be right after Epcot opened, because when we came here, I remember they were celebrating the 10cennial of the resort. As opposed to centennial, it's the 10cennial because it was 10 years.
Right.
Which was 81, assuming 81 into 82. They'll stretch that shit out. So I'm like, Epcot opened in 82. It had to have just opened.
It opened October 1st, 1982.
Yeah. Well, and by all accounts, it wasn't like it was a mob scene.
No, because they learned from Disneyland. They knew we know how to open a theme park now.
And it was just not that popular, though. People were also like, what the fuck? Where's Mr. Toad? Where's Fairy Poppins? And it took them a while to kind of get the concept across.
And if you want a good time, look up the opening of Epcot starring Drew Barrymore and who's that? Danny Kaye.
Oh, there's a dream team. Wow.
That's on YouTube.
Yeah. But I was going to say, then the next time we came was right after Hollywood Studios opened. So it had to have been in Mr. X.
Yeah.
When did Hollywood Studios, and then Disney MGM Studios open?
May of 89.
I knew you'd know it. But so we came at some point shortly after it opened and in the backlot tour.
Yes. Which was my first job.
Part of the backlot tour was video hosted by the kids from the all-new Mickey Mouse Club, and saying that it filmed there. And you'd also go through the set for it, as well as Star Search, and then Clarissa later explains it all.
And because of what happened when you went there, the backlot tour, or the backstage studio tour at the time, was like this 2-hour event.
Oh, it was massive.
You got off the shuttle portion and you followed Roger Rabbit's footprints to the rest of the tour that went through the sound stages. Eventually they broke them up because people were like, how do you get out of this tour?
Yes. So I remember distinctly the fact that the whole new Mickey Mouse Club, that was filmed right here in Orlando. And your joke, the Kiss of Death, that is because the intent to build a working studio that could also be visited by the guests while things were in progress, that just never materialized. It was never worth it for production companies to bring their whole operation down here. And it was cool for a time. There was this sort of buzz that we were going to be kind of this Hollywood West thing, that like this was elevating Central Florida to the next level as far as being a place where movies are actually made, not just a vacation destination. And the last thing, as we quickly go through the history, is Club Mickey Mouse, which was a 2017 attempt to reboot it, more of a streaming behind-the-scenes reality show, and it did not last very long, according to Wikipedia. That's where all my sources are, is Wikipedia. But more important than anything in the whole wide world, we have two of the Mickey Mouse Club cast members, Lisa Welchel and Julie Piekarski, who are
Yes.
going to be in the show as we describe it tonight, and who will go on to do the facts of life. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Facts of life adjacent, you are welcome. Now, where do we want to start? How do we even want to begin?
Well, we should say, before we get too far into this, that
Yeah, because I'm afraid we're going to get too far into it right now.
one
Yeah,
of
go
the
ahead.
things that I love about Disney Plus is it said, this program is presented as originally aired. It may contain outdated cultural depictions.
Are you saying that there are outdated cultural references in this, Matthew?
I didn't find any, so
No.
I don't know why that was on there, but it was on there.
Yeah, that is weird, because no, you would think there would be with this cast, which looks like a Benetton ad before Benetton was a thing in the 80s. God bless them. The one thing we cannot say about this is, typical 70s, all white kids.
Yeah.
No, you can tell they were very deliberate in arranging all shades of brown and copper, and in a good way. That is wonderful and refreshing.
And not stereotypically, like they were just all kids.
No. There was none of that stuff yet. So, isn't it just so weird that next year is the 50th anniversary of the resort?
Mm-hmm.
And yet in this special, the park is 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been around for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
That blows my mind.
I was here for the 25th anniversary. That blows my mind.
Oh, yeah. Well,
When the castle was pink.
oh, the birthday cake.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, what a misstep. If you don't know what we're talking about, look up Walt Disney World birthday castle and you will see and be appalled. So I think we're ready to get started, aren't we?
I think so.
Okay.
So, I mean, typical Walt Disney World opening. And I have to say, I did choke up a little bit hearing the music and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I choked up several times during this, just because I missed my job and they're filming it at my park. So seeing Main Street, which has not changed one bit in 50 years. But like they do like the overall shots of like the overture and everything, and they establish that it's the Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World.
Yeah. You see a shot of the topiaries on the grass.
And
you see
the
the
model.
Dumbo ride.
The contemporary. You see all the monorails.
Yeah,
all
Space
that
Mountain and all the visual icons. I will have to say, not a lot of just the castle. There really wasn't a lot of Cinderella's castle in this, was there?
Nope.
Interesting.
Even when they were performing in front of it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of comments about how things were filmed back then as opposed to how they're filmed now by the company.
Oh, yeah?
Because, like, there are times, like, nowadays, they would never film at Pirates of the Caribbean without having the Pirates of the Caribbean sign visible.
Oh,
so people
yes.
know where they are. There were times I had to do research to figure out where these people were.
Oh, yeah?
Because they're not making it clear where, like, they didn't. Our advertising team wasn't on board with the TV production because people need to remember in 77, Walt Disney Pictures and Walt Disney Company was in the crapper.
Yeah.
We were not doing well. This was before Eisner came in and saved the company.
Yeah.
Ron
this was
Miller,
Apple Dumpling Gang, Freaky Friday,
Gus.
live action.
Yeah. And in charge of the company at the time was Ron Miller, who was Walt's son-in-law. So people thought, oh, well, he's Walt's son-in-law. That makes him the righteous heir to the throne. No, it didn't. So we were in the dumper. So, and for reasons like this, our advertising team wasn't on board with the film crew. And, you know, we didn't have quite the synergy that we have now and the amount of producers involved to make this. Like, if you watch the Walt Disney World Christmas Parade, it is a 2.5-hour commercial.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah.
Of very, very meticulously put together shots, even though the camera shots last less than 1 second.
Yeah.
And you get a headache watching it. They're meticulously put together.
Another good example of that, where nowadays, like you said, synergy was the thing. There would always be names. Joanne Worley at one point turns to Ronnie Shell and says, "Why don't we go on the Sky Ride?" And it's like there would have been an executive there that said, "It's called the Walt Disney World Skyway."
Yep.
If you could say the TM afterwards, and the actually, if you could say a registered trademark of Walt Disney Company and its affiliates incorporated, that would be great.
Yep.
Like there's no way a person in an actual Disney special in Walt Disney World, and notice we're saying Walt Disney World, it is not Disney World, it is Walt Disney World.
The correct nomenclature, that's what we call it.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
the chips in our brains that they installed that make us say it that way. So, and that honestly, from a corporate standpoint, that we're not dissing them for that. The fact is, Disney owns and has proprietary ownership of so many things, that so much thought has been put into what they are named. They have a right to say, call it the thing we named it. It went through 47 committees and 12 different focus groups. So it's quite a lot. Yes. So
it's best on guest relations.
It's
when you get into guest relations, it's part of your checkout. Is a whole section on the test about nomenclature.
I believe it. I fucking believe it. Man. Okay. So here's the thing. When you were saying it gave you such sweet, happy memories when the show first started, I thought it was because it begins actually with a shake and bake commercial, followed by Gainsburgers. Those are the two commercials that precede the actual beginning of the special.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about Pete the Butcher. That was a regular character for Shake and Bake.
What's that? I didn't recognize any of the commercials.
Well, you're far, far too young. We all know that.
But I loved the Gainsburgers puppy food.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we just got our dog back from a weekend where she could have puppies. Like, we just picked our dog up from a breeder.
Yeah, exactly.
My dog's been getting banged all weekend, so we're giving her some Gainsburgers. It's basically what that commercial said.
Do you know what Gainsburgers are?
It's a dog food.
Right. But I don't know if they even showed the product. It was in a plastic wrapper in the shape of a hamburger and was made to look like ground beef, the ground beef stringy consistency. It's like little Chester thinks he's having a hamburger.
Does he?
Does he?
Does he?
Well, it's a hamburger made out of yak intestines. So we begin the show with this montage, and all the kids are on the monorail. And what are they singing, Matthew?
Oh, my God. Some rendition of Zippity Doo-Dah.
With some full-on scatting and whistling and beat-up-bop-a-dee-papas and
it's bad enough that they are lip-syncing terribly, but to lip-sync a whistle is just... I want to know, like, and I have this question throughout the whole show. What director thinks that they were being natural at all? Like they didn't choreograph who they were going to look at and smile and nod and look so happy to be talking to and singing in front of, like face to face. It looks so unnatural.
And there's something also about 12 kids clumped together on one side of a monorail.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I get it. It's a tight space. You got to get the film crew in there, and cameras were bigger back then. But part of me is like, you couldn't have done something to arrange them and then maybe do some hand choreography to sort of kind of tie it all together and give you a sense that there is some organization and thought put into this. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So then they arrive at the Contemporary Resort, because the Contemporary Resort, ladies and gentlemen, is right along the monorail. You can take the monorail directly from the Magic Kingdom to the Polynesian Resort, or Disney's Polynesian Resort, and then to Disney's Contemporary Resort. and other hotels that have not yet been built in 1977. So they get off of the monorail, and
The old school monorail.
old school. Now, what makes it old school versus now? Is there any?
Well, we're on like the Mark 8 version. This is like the Mark 2 version.
Oh, okay.
Like the doors open, like actual doors instead of sliding glass doors that they are now.
Okay.
Like these doors actually close and stayed closed.
Okay. Good to know.
It was cool to see an old monorail.
Mm-hmm. We have Ronnie Shell playing the tour manager / chaperone / obligatory adult who does little to nothing.
Yeah. And he's that one of those actors where you're like, oh, him. What has he been in? I have no idea.
I believe Gomer Pyle was his biggest claim to fame. He was a regular on Gomer Pyle. And he would later do a lot of voiceover work. That was more his jam later.
He also is in the episode of The Golden Girls where Blanche tries to sell her car and he offers to buy Blanche's car. And she's only selling it to meet men.
Oh, jeez. Nice. So we have a little awful contrived physical bit with the blonde girl, the blondest of the blonde girls, Kelly, who is clearly set up to be the hilariously clumsy one.
Yeah.
And she is one of those actresses where everything she says is in the lower part of her voice and there's not really much energy to what she says. Oh no, the tennis racket has a mind of its own. And it's the unnaturalness of the delivery is really jarring.
Well, and I love the minute they get off the monorail, they're talking about how they're doing this performance or whatever, but it's also a vacation. They get off the monorail and they go, I can't wait to get to the tennis courts. You are at Walt Disney World.
You can play tennis at home.
You can't wait to get to the tennis court? All right.
Mm-hmm. But in fact, they don't go straight to the tennis court. As they're disembarking, first place they are going to go, River Country.
Yes.
And this was new. This only opened in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
And River Country was at one time the water park at the Walt Disney World Resort. It would later be overtaken by Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard Beach.
And amoebas.
Amoeba. Is that why it closed? Is because of...
It had the first of its kind water filtration system that would use the water from the natural lake that it was on and filter it and put it into their lagoon, not the swimming pools, but the lagoon. Mm-hmm. So people felt like, and it looked like, they were swimming in a natural swimming hole in Florida. And there was unmanageable amoeba in Bay Lake because it is a lake in Florida.
Yeah, which is a swamp. All of Walt Disney World was swampland before
they want to swim in that.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it closed in what, 2001?
River Country closed. It was a seasonal operation anyway. It closed in November of 2001, like it always did every year. A lot of people thought it closed because of September 11th, and which may or may not be true, but it closed for its season in 2001, and it didn't reopen the next year. And then in 2005, they announced that it wouldn't be reopening at all.
Mm-hmm. And at the moment, is it already being excavated? But they had announced there were plans to build a new hotel, partial Disney Vacation Club, vacation ownership places over there. So that is going to be a new resort at some point. It's kind of over by Fort Wilderness.
It was basically Fort Wilderness's pool.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. So we don't just go to River Country though, Matthew, do we?
Oh my God.
We spend a good chunk of time singing an original composition, singing about how fun it is to go to River Country.
It was a cute song. I'll give them that. It was catchy. But I didn't realize that River Country was complete and utter anarchy.
Oh,
There are people like on top of each other. There's like a lazy river with inner tubes and strangers bumping into each other. And
that was the early days of water parks when
they were sending people down a slide 3 at a time.
7 in a tube.
Yeah, backwards.
Yeah.
And then we had these rope things that you could swing out on. And it's just like,
yeah, swing out and land in the river. It's like, okay, that's not a hazard. No.
In a pool full of people, you're just swinging out and hoping you don't land on somebody. And it just amazed me. Because again, nowadays, and it looked like these were actual guests.
Mm-hmm.
Because nowadays at Walt Disney World, when there's filming, there are no guests involved.
No, it's cut off.
Yeah, we have blocked off this area. Nobody's going to walk behind the shot, like accidentally. You can't get into this production area. This looked like it was a nightmare.
It was
to be a part of.
To be in operations there to try and do that. Yes,
but if you're interested on YouTube, a lot of urban adventurers will go to River Country or Discovery Island, which is abandoned, and film and put videos up. And it really is like life after people. Like,
oh yeah, they should film a post-apocalyptic movie there. They should really
taken over. And also, like, you see, like, they go into management offices where like things have fallen off the walls, and it's like plaque awards that say manager of the year, like being overtaken. It's so effing creepy. Yeah.
I'll have to look at some of those. I've seen still photos. I've never seen a video though.
Oh, it's creepy.
But yeah, they decided not to reopen it, and they just abandoned it until now with the plans to build this new hotel, as I said. So then from there, we go to the game room. I believe it's the arcade game room in the basement of the Contemporary. Am I correct?
Corral, well, the first floor of the Contemporary.
Okay, that's right. We don't have basements in Florida. It just feels like a basement.
Which, again, made me interested because Pac-Man didn't come out till 1980. What video games were in an arcade other than pinball and skee-ball?
Skee-ball and pinball. That was,
Was that it?
I mean, there were home computer video games. Like, I think Pong existed. Like, there were some
Pong
quote-unquote...
came out in like 1978 or something.
Did it?
Pong came out in 72, Breakout in 76, Tank in 74. But like the Contemporary is supposed to be one of those resorts where it's like, oh, we're hip and young and new and
cutting edge of technology. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's some pinball machines.
Yeah.
Come to Walt Disney World where you can play tennis and pinball. This is so far getting the Almeida family up in Massachusetts very excited about their trip.
Oh, you know it, because, Matthew, when I came in February of 1978, there was a caricature artist smack dab in the middle of this room. I still have the caricatures that we had done of each member of our family, and I have, from that trip, one photograph of myself on the balcony of the Contemporary, and you can't even tell where I am. Like, literally all the photos over the years that got shoved into shoe boxes in the back of drawers, by the time I got my hands on them as an adult to try and organize them, there is no record of my ever coming here in 1978, and that makes me so sad. But I do have that fucking caricature.
That is precious.
Yeah. And I was a kid who drawed. I was a drawer.
Yeah.
I was an artisty kid. That was my thing. More than performance or anything else. It was, David is the artistic.
It probably didn't even dawn on you, or it made you think, this person is getting paid. It is their job to do this, and I could do. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Like it wouldn't have dawned on me like, I love to draw. This guy loves to draw. I could do this for a living.
Yeah.
That would never have dawned on me being from India.
Again, at 9, you're not really thinking about future careers. At least I wasn't. I'm still not really. So then within this scene, missed opportunity. Major missed opportunity. This is the point when Mr. Brown hands out the passes to the kids that give them admission to the parks. So he just stands there with the kids in the club and he's like, oh, here, Rutabaga, Frida, Sam, Billy Bob, Dumbass, Big Tits.
And they're completely unchoreographed as to where they are.
Yeah.
It's like they did this in one take. He had no idea whose name was next.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, for me, missed opportunity was at no point did these kids get off the monorail and go, I can't wait to go on Pirates of the Caribbean. I can't wait to go on Space Mountain. None of them have, he's handing out these tickets, and these kids are acting like he's giving them tickets to the train to Auschwitz. They are not excited. These are park tickets to the Magic Kingdom. And you are the Mouseketeers. You are the Mouseketeers, and we're handing you tickets to the Magic Kingdom. Look like we're handing you a bag of herpes.
Well, then the other thing I was going to say, the missed opportunity was, what are the Mouseketeers known for? The roll call.
Yeah,
so he could have made them stand in line and gone down the line and said, okay, here you go. This is yours. And this is Lisa. And this is Julie. And this is Molly. And, he could have had a moment where visually we could have been introduced and maybe connected with one or two of these kids.
Yeah. And that's my question, because I did think that. I was like, is this their version of the roll call? Because it's very different than Cubby, Annette.
Yeah, Annette.
This is like, Lisa, where are you?
I'm here behind you. Thanks.
And then they edited in the camera shot where he hits the girl in the face.
Yeah, he turned. Yeah, it was the girl who's the clumsy one, and her name is Kelly. Kelly is the extra blonde one that is also the clumsy one with the tennis racket. Yeah, he turns and accidentally hits her, and she's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Yeah, but yeah, clearly one take. This was one take tempo. Okay, let's go.
Again, without any kind of rehearsal, apparently, or script.
Yeah. And yes. So the next thing we have is, the next scene is we're on the dock by the pool at the Contemporary Resort.
Yes.
And they are all in their outfits. I don't know, are they supposed to be rehearsing? That's something we never see them do in this special, by the by.
I don't think anybody ever saw them rehearse.
Ever.
But yeah, it's... One of the only things that was realistic was that they had food prepared and set up for them. And that is exactly what would happen. Like they'd be in a roped off area with their own food. That's about the only thing real happened in this whole thing. But this is where I got pissed off, because Lisa takes a picture of the salad and says, well, I can't eat it. I'm on a diet. How dare you?
She is 13 and she is gorgeous.
And she is rail thin. Why was the writing like that?
Why was there anything to do with a 13-year-old girl talking about being on a diet? Fuck you.
Can't even eat salad.
Yeah.
Like, come on. So basically, she's starving herself.
Yeah, that's
Thank
terrible.
You.
But then Lisa does have the camera, and so she says, everybody stand all together, and let's take a picture of the group. And they're in their costumes. Well, they're standing with their back to the water. What inevitably happens? They all fall into the water. And there ends up being some horseplay, and they fall in the water, and they're all kind of giggling and ha 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 and screaming and laughing. It sounds like they're having fun, doesn't it?
Well, I couldn't tell if they were pushing each other into the water, because there's about 8 minutes of them unedited, fake laughing and dancing around, and then some of them jumping purposely into the water.
Yep.
And like Lisa actually jumps into the water. You see her jump in, and it just, again, the editing. They were like, we need 8 minutes of you laughing really hard, everybody. So I want you child actors to fake laugh for me for 8 minutes.
But then in the next scene,
yes.
we're at the lobby of the Contemporary, where Mr. Brown meets Joanne Worley. We're going to talk about her in a second. But the sort of punchline of this scene before we go to the commercial is that she is a reporter for a magazine reporting on the kids. And her question to him is like, okay, so I'm looking for a big scoop.
Yeah.
And she says, the kids, do they all get along? And he's like, of course they get along. They're just like siblings. They love each other. And all the kids come running in, soaking wet, making the most god-awful cacophony of screaming, pretending to be mad at each other, allegedly because they're mad that they all pushed each other into the water?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually sent our Mouseketeers into a natural lake in Florida.
Number one.
And they went underwater. I'd like that known. Their heads did go underwater.
Their ears are full of parasites, yes.
That's the thing we in Florida know. If you go underwater, you need a tetanus shot. And Joanne immediately pulls out her camera. She refers to this. This could be the story of the year.
Yeah, for Everglades magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, let the record show, Your Honor, the Everglades are in South Florida. They are quite a bit not near us, not even close.
And from where we are, that's about a 5-hour drive.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, so, Miami is 4 hours away. And yeah.
This is even farther down than Miami.
Yeah.
It's real like, quick, back to where they were out there before they jump in the water, they're getting all lined up for a photo. Lisa wants to take a group photo of them on the dock, and they all line up again, completely unchoreographed, and nobody has blocking.
Foster pluck.
But the moment she's going to take the picture, we hear paging Mr. Brown, paging Mr. Brown. We don't page at Walt Disney World. And also, where is this paging system that goes all over the property when
the entire resort and the pool? Yes.
Yeah. So, and second of all, he leaves like he's just been called to war. Like they can't be like, oh, can you wait a second and let me snap this photo? No,
yeah.
Paging Mr. Brown, gotta go.
Yeah.
And it's like we were just gonna take a picture. You gotta leave right this second. Okay.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And his leaving them, that's perfectly on brand because the kids spend an alarming amount of this special unsupervised.
Yes.
And
yes, they do.
Yes. But we have let's talk about Joanne Worley. And the character, the wonderful. Best known for being the original Laugh-In cast. And of course, Disney aficionados will know that she was the voice of Madame de la Grande Bouche, the Armoire, in the original 1991 animated Beauty and the Beast. And she...
a 30-year-old movie, Beauty and the Beast.
That's fucking crazy. All I remember is she had the lines of when she's trying to help Belle pick a dress, and she has that, well, here we are. She kind of does that sing-songy thing. And I went, God, that almost sounds like Joanne Worley. That would be weird. And then in the big furniture fighting back scene, when they take back the damn castle, and she jumps off of the balcony, and they let her do her signature. I lost my shit. I was so happy. Anyway,
she's great.
They do make a bit out of him when later on, spoiler alert, she's going to try to get a little bit lovey-dovey with Mr. Brown, with the male character there. And one of the things is going to be the whole, Ms. Osborne, and she's like, oh, call me Colleen. And they make a running bit out of him referring to her and pronouncing her name Colleen.
Yeah.
And her correcting it to Colleen. I will go on record saying at this point in the beginning scene when we're introduced to her, she introduces herself as Colleen Osborne.
Yeah.
Which I think is a Canadian thing, isn't it? Isn't that how Canadians...
I don't know, but I just didn't see why that was the running joke they went with.
Yeah. That was the best you could come up with, really?
When it's plenty, if that's what you're going to do, but it's plenty just to have the running joke be he's not interested and uncomfortable when she puts the moves on him.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the joke you need.
She's afraid she's going to fuck up his comb over. It's like that thing. Talk about Walt Disney was an amazing Imagineer of innovation. That comb over of his, how fluffed up and positioned and shellacked it was. That I think that Space Mountain's engineering rivals only that of his comb over. But it was so 70s. My God. So the going to commercial thing is that she is there, this member of the press, and she witnesses the kids not getting along because of this contrived falling into the water thing. And
rips out her camera, takes it out like she's witnessing the royal family having a fight in the middle of the contemporary resort.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Then we go to commercial break.
Yes.
And the commercials, there are 3 commercials. One for a Tonka custom van, toy van.
Yep.
It is
doesn't come with anything. It's just a toy van.
Yeah, you can put an action figure behind the driver's seat, but it doesn't say who. It's just, we're not providing it. And it's one of those brown 1970s with the detailing. It's got a sunroof. It has a sunset painting on the side. All I can say is at least the door on the side has a window. The rest of it does not. It was very hip and chic in 1977. I believe by 2020 standards, Matthew, what would you call that?
A child molester's van.
I knew that's what you were going to say because
that's what I was watching
thinking.
The commercial. I was like, I hope they have shag carpeting up the walls on the inside of that van. Oh, look, Luke Skywalker and Han Solo can fit in the back. Oh, gross.
Yikes. And the second commercial is a Meow Mix commercial where a cat turns on a radio and then picks up the phone, dials the phone to meow into it, which was a request made to the... Remember when we could call radio stations and make requests?
Remember when it was the only way to hear your favorite song?
It's true. If you didn't want to buy the record, if you were a cheap bitch. Yeah. And then lastly, the Canon G3 camera.
Also, though, with the cat one, it was so perfectly 1977. Even the cat looked derpy. Like the cat was a little cross-eyed.
Yes, yes.
At the end. And I did love hearing meow, 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 meow.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good jingle.
It's a classic. And then we had the Canon G3 camera, trying to tout that the lens was really fantastic, amazing. And the slogan, a great picture starts with a great lens.
Yeah. And I feel like it was very, and has it gone out of style, that type of commercial where the camera is the fourth wall and like has to tell the person like, are you using a Kodak camera? And they look at the camera like, yes. It's like that Gilda Radner bit where he's like, why don't you take that soup and shove it up your nose?
Yes. Yeah, that was a very common commercial trope. And this was, in fact, a man trying to take a picture of members of a marching band. And all it did was...
they didn't rehearse a lot, I guess, in the 70s. It was kind of like, let's turn on the camera. What we catch, we catch. Like,
it was the rise of naturalism. Yeah. Yep, that's true. So when we come back from commercial, we are back at the Contemporary. Mr. Brown is on the phone with his angry manager, and he has a ice pack on his head because he's got a headache because, oh my God, it's been so stressful with the kids walking through the lobby all wet and Joanne Worley seeing them. Oh.
Yeah. Everglades magazine saw the kids hating each other. But my question, again, and maybe I'm looking too far into it, he is in charge of the Disney Mouseketeers. So the person in charge of him, it seems to me, would be a Disney executive.
Yeah, unless he's the part of a tour group. He's some,
but
fun time tours, or
he's talking about getting them to the stage and getting them to the Magic Kingdom and everything. And he's coming across, you hear it's like Charlie Brown's teacher on the phone.
Yes.
You hear like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, Disney is allowing them to film what would be a Disney executive being this much of a monster?
And then we meet him later. We meet this guy later, and he's an asshole.
Spoiler alert, he's dressed like Boss Hogg.
True. They probably tried to get him, but
As all
Sorrel book.
As all Disney executives do, dressed like Boss Hogg. I don't know if you know that. But it's just, again, something that would never happen now. They would never have a Disney executive come across as a monster.
Yeah. Well, then.
While he's sitting in there, I don't know if you noticed, my favorite thing in the whole show happened.
What? No, I didn't.
After he hangs up the phone with his boss, after yelling at him to get those kids in line, hello, teenage girl in nothing but a towel.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Bedroom.
No. I was going to say, I thought something else happened. I was totally going to go there too.
Ah!
And, no. She's not a teenage girl. There are two, like the kids of this group who are clearly the babies. We have the girl named Nita, Nita. She's the one who will later have a super major crisis on her hand. And the other baby of the group is this little girl. Her name is Mindy.
Yes.
And yeah, she comes into the room. I put in my notes, please have a bathing suit on underneath that.
I wrote down, hello, teen girl in nothing but a towel.
Yeah, because she literally walks in wrapped in a towel, but she's not a teen. She's got to be 11, wouldn't you say?
10 or 11, yeah.
Which is technically teen, but that's barely a tween. She's a fucking child.
Yeah, it was cringeworthy.
And you're like, why is she there? Why is she just in a towel and eating an apple? That's weird. But better
than her eating a banana or something. She didn't walk in with a popsicle, for Christ's sake. Thank God.
You gave me the Rona. I'm coughing now. But it's just simply what happens is it's the two of them saying, wow, all the kids are fighting. Doesn't this suck? Well, and he sort of says to her, it's up to us to try and get everybody back together again because you're the youngest of the group and I need to put a lot of emotional burden and responsibility onto you. Mm-hmm. Don't know why. So next scene is the two of them out at breakfast in the park. I wasn't sure on the location. Is this outside the Crystal Palace?
No, they're at the Plaza restaurant on the other side of Main Street.
Is that okay? I wasn't sure because was Crystal Palace always the Crystal Palace?
Mm-hmm.
It was. Okay. To me, it looked like one of those eating areas at the end of Main Street facing the thing. It's just on the wrong side. Okay.
Yeah. The Plaza restaurant's on the other side. And what is now just general seating used to be part of their dining reservations. You could eat out on the landing by and watch that boat ride go through the castle moat.
Oh, yes.
Was only the swan boats that was only there for about 5 minutes.
Well, he was planning to give the kids what for and demand that they start getting along and forgive each other for the horrible transgression of maybe or maybe not accidentally, cheerfully laughing, falling / jumping into the water. And they're not there. They don't show up.
No, he's talking to an empty table. And you'll also notice again during this scene, something that wouldn't happen now. The editing, they left in the background music from Main Street USA.
Oh.
And it doesn't match up with the editing. So like you'll hear like in one camera shot, you'll hear Chim Chim Cheree in the background. And then in the next shot, right, like you'll hear a completely different song. And it's jarring to hear. But again, that would not happen because if they're filming now, the background music is gone. They're in a controlled environment.
Yep. Very true.
And there are guests sitting around them eating.
I know, who probably did not sign a fucking release. I will bet you. But thank God Joanne Worley is there, showing up And she decides that she wants to tag along. And so to appease her, Mr. Brown says, you can have an exclusive interview with some of the girls.
Yeah, she's going to blackmail him. To get the interview. She said, give me an interview or I'm releasing the photos that she had taken. That's how she gets the interview.
So she wants to interview the girls.
You have to blackmail the manager of the Mouseketeers to get an interview.
Man. So then we pan from the riverboat, which is now currently what we call Disney Springs.
The Lily Bell.
Is that what it's called? The Lily Bell?
That's what's named after Walt's wife.
Ah, okay. Well, it currently houses paddlefish, correct?
I'm not sure.
I looked it up on a map, and that's what's currently there. But then we panned from that across the water to what was called the Lake Buena Vista Shopping Village. And at some point in 1977, it was changed to the Walt Disney World Village. Since then, it's been called many things, Disney Village Marketplace. It was just considered part of downtown Disney, and currently it's called The Marketplace at Disney Springs.
Yes.
But they are shopping at a store, and Matthew, this is the scene of all scenes.
Yeah.
This is the one. We have Joanne Worley shopping for clothes with Lisa Welchel, Nita, little Latina girl, and Allison, who is a brown-haired girl similar to Lisa's age, who has got some amazing wings in her hair. I got to give her credit for those wings. So we set up a thing where Lisa and Allison are mad at each other. And eventually you're like, oh, it's because of that water photograph. Is that still a thing, really? But anyway, Joanne Worley goes in to try on some clothes. Nita just goes off to be on her own. So we are left with just Lisa and Allison. I'm assuming they're the same age. So let's say they're both 13-year-old girls. And as they are looking at dresses on one of the racks, what happens?
Oh, my God. I'm uncomfortable talking about it.
Wow. People, get out your hand sanitizer. You're going to need it.
They see a gentleman. I don't know how else to say it.
Mm-hmm. An adult.
A full-on adult. And they see him sitting there, and Lisa calls him a fox.
Mm-hmm.
The other girl says he's a stone cold fox.
I believe double fox is what
is that
said.
What it says?
Yeah, she doesn't say stone cold. Yeah. So we're not getting that penile yet.
They end up walking over to this man and saying, hi, do you think I would look good in this dress? Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. He's an adult. He's like 35 years old.
So I hear what you're saying, but we also have to remember that in 1977, he could have been 19.
I mean,
we don't know. Was he 19 or was he 35?
Yeah. Be that as it may.
Yeah.
It's like they couldn't have found a 16-year-old boy, an attractive teenaged boy who visually, obviously, would be someone you might imagine could be with one of these girls.
Yeah.
What the shit? It is so uncomfortable. And here's the thing. This is the tool by which fences are built and bridges are mended. Or strike that and reverse it. Because the guy asks, she's like, do you like this dress or this one? And he says, who, for her or for you? And to sort of cover their ass, they're like, well, for both of us, because we share each other's clothes. Yeah, because we're friends. Yeah, we are friends. So pretending that they're friends to try and fuck their dad is I
don't know if they were pretending that they were friends. They were like realizing, oh, we are friends. Like that was their moment of getting along again.
Yeah, tomato, tomato, be that as it may. This man is supposed to be the tool by which this rift is now being corrected. And it's just like, okay, where was Leif Garrett? Where was Donny Osmond? Where was Sean Cassidy?
Where was one of the boys from the Mouseketeers?
What? Thank you.
And I wrote down, never mind the fact that they're doing all of this in front of a reporter.
Yeah. Well,
So-
no, Joanne does come in and eventually join them, right?
My
But not-
thing is, like, your story, Joanne, is not whether or not they get along. Your story is that the Mouseketeers are whores.
They are 13-year-old hooas.
What is wrong with the person that wrote this?
And cast this. Again, the director and it's like, okay, I know in the script it says a 35-year-old guy. He's dressed in a tennis outfit. He's got the white polo shirt and the white short shorts, and they have some like red and blue embellishment that matches. So it's like a tennis playing uniform. So he looks athletic. He's a good-looking guy.
Yes.
But the thing is, why they weren't like, they're 13. Why would you not have them lusting after a teenaged boy?
So here's my question. And this is from an inside question.
Go right ahead, Mr. X.
Here's my question. We know that when things come to film at Walt Disney World, a lot of times our actor friends will be cast in small roles like that. So it made me wonder, was this guy, was he the star of the Hoop-de-Doo Review
Yeah.
or something?
You're right. One thing I can tell you, Matthew, later after the commercial, when our little friend Nita disappears and they are at the Contemporary with the security guard, I think that was a real Walt Disney World security guard.
I wrote down his line.
Because the performance he gave was on the level of as great a performance as you could expect from a Walt Disney World security guard.
And he could not have represented Walt Disney World security better.
But we'll get to him. We're getting so far ahead of ourselves.
No, sorry.
Yeah, we're in the first 5 minutes of the show still.
Yeah.
So I tried to find this guy, by the way, as we're talking about who is this guy, he does look a little familiar. His name isn't even in the credits. He's uncredited.
Well, that's why I wondered. Because
Yeah.
I tried to look him up and I tried to see who he was,
But then while he's talking to the girls, you hear yoo-hoo or hey Willoughby or whatever the fuck his name is, and this sort of pretty Farrah Fawcett tennis partner,
age appropriate,
40-year-old woman is over, and he goes over. He says, "Oh, nice talking to you, girls," and he's pleasant and just walks away and abandons them, and walks over to the woman and awkwardly grabs the back of her head to plant a kiss on her lips before they arm in arm walk away. She has a tennis racket, so clearly they're going to the tennis courts at the Disney Village Marketplace. Is that a thing?
No.
Was
Not
that ever
even.
a thing? I just somehow I knew that. Why did I already know that?
The only thing I could think of, because I was thinking too hard about it, was that on Hotel Plaza Boulevard, right by there, was the at the time the Lake Buena Vista Athletic Club.
Oh, true.
That's still there. That it was originally the Walt Disney World Information Center.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
But it's
anyway.
within walking distance of the Lake Buena Disney
Yeah.
Village, so I thought that was the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. Oh, and the thing we have to point out is when the girls walk over to the guy, this sexy saxophone music starts playing. It's like fucking music
Yeah.
while they're trying to, again, It's like, what were you playing? What was your end game? Gee, the two of us would really like to see what your hotel room is like.
You want to watch us try this dress on?
Oh my God. So yeah, so we have this sexy music, but then later we get the friendship music. After he's gone and they have their realization moment that they're still friends. Nita comes back from nowhere. Joanne comes back from trying on her dress. And from there, we go on to the next scene.
Yeah.
And there you have it. That was part 1 of the Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World. We're going to leave it there in that wonderful, cringy place. The sexualization of teenagers in the 1970s, as American as baseball and apple pie. I will note at this point in the discussion, we are 19 minutes in to the 60-minute special. And by the way, I'm really happy. This was the first episode where we really got the Zoom sound quality issue under control. And I started having us both use professional microphones, and I'm so happy to not be apologizing to you for the terrible sound quality. In fact, you are welcome for the excellent sound quality. So, prepare yourselves. Next week, we're going to wrap up this discussion with part 2 of this show. If you haven't watched it and you now realize you absolutely have to watch it, of course, you can see it on Disney+. I will put the link in the show notes and on this episode's webpage. That is all for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, the facts of life are all about you.
Let's Face the Facts was created, produced, written, hosted, and edited by the wonderful David Almeida. Our theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Please visit FaceTheFactsPod.com for supplemental photos and videos, links to social media, and ways that you can support the show. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. This is Matthew Arder saying tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.